Ethnic citizens here in New Jersey turn to the political right, massively so. Why? Well, there are a lot of reasons, and some of the motivations are particular to this state, but most of them hold relevance for all kinds of voters all over this great land of the United States. These ethnic Jersey voters, many of whom are working class people, they have had it with a crooked globalist economic system that works against their interests. They are completely done with open borders and the ravages to these communities of lavish benefits for illegals. They also revolt against political correctness of any kind, from pretending that men should play in women's sports to disparaging the intrepid explorer, Christopher Columbus, hero to all Italians. Here is the obviously fictional, but nonetheless iconic, New Jersey resident, Tony Soprano, on that topic.
His history teacher, Mr. Cushman, is teaching your son that if Columbus was alive today, he would go on trial for crimes against humanity like Milosevic in, Europe.
Your teacher said that.
It's not just my teacher, it's the truth. It's in my history book.
So you finally read a book and it's bullshit.
Tony.
Look, you had to walk in Columbus's shoes to see what he went through. People thought the world was flat, for crying out loud. Then he lands on an island with a bunch of naked savages on it. I mean, that took a lot of guts. You remember when we went to Florida, the heat, and those bugs?
Well, like it took guts to murder people and put them in chains.
He was a victim of his time.
Who cares? It's what he did.
He discovered America is what he did. He was a brave Italian explorer, and in this house, Christopher Columbus is a hero. End of story.
Now, Tony Soprano is a flawed character, but Tony's occasional political and cultural commentaries, they do represent something profound and something much deeper than just throwaway Hollywood lines. Instead, I suggest to you that some of his made-for-TV thoughts, they represent the gigantic, real-world shifts that are occurring right here and in places like New Jersey all over America. When he defends Columbus, he sticks up for proud Italians. But even more than that, he defends the common sense of American patriots who will not tolerate the tearing down of statues, nor the tearing down of patriotic, living, breathing people. His rants give voice to the brave ones who refuse to bend the knee to the lawless tactics of violent leftists who burn and loot and disparage. These salt-of-the-earth citizens, they turn, at least in part, to politics for solutions. And they find a new home, a welcoming home, far, far away from the crazy Democrats of today. For example, Tony's real-life hometown, it flipped from blue Democrat in 2020 to a red Trump victory in 2024. Even more impressive are the county-wide gains seen across northern New Jersey. The shifts have been so strong and so swift in largely working-class, ethnic Passaic County. Hillary Clinton won in 2016 by a landslide. She won by 22 points. By 2020, that margin was cut materially, as Biden beat Trump by 16%. A nice win, but the signs were emerging that there were cracks in the blue wall around Passaic. And then Trump surges in Passaic to win the county in 2024 by over 5,000 votes. After 4 years of Biden, after a whole presidential term of lies, especially about Joe's cognitive abilities, after Biden and Mayorkas and Harris opened our border with the full support of New Jersey radicals like Governor Phil Murphy, and after Biden's inflation, it stole away the buying power of hard-working families in places like Passaic County. Well, the inevitable happened, and the Dems lost what was once a juggernaut county, one that they depended on to win state elections by comfortable margins. Now, in the town of Passaic, the move was even more astounding, moving from Hillary plus 52% in 2016 to Trump plus 7% in 2024. An almost unimaginable 59% swing in just over 8 years. Those kind of moves, they almost never happen. And in this case, in a densely populated major media market that's dominated by legacy leftist media platforms. Marcella Crossman is a concerned New Jersey mom and a fintech executive. So, Marcella, a lot of people in the political world outside of New Jersey think that New Jersey is in play, that it's a swing state. What do you think as a New Jerseyer?
100%. We are a majority moderate state, so center left, center right. But obviously blue state in terms of the numbers. And this past general election, 20% of the population is Hispanic, Latinos. And so we really came out to vote and made that big swing. So yes, 100%, New Jersey is a swing state.
So Marcella, you mentioned the big Hispanic population, particularly in northern New Jersey. We're here in an Italian deli, okay, but you're Hispanic. Italians used to be reliably Democratic voters and have very much shifted. Is the same thing going on with Hispanics in New Jersey?
Yeah, 100%. Latinos' core values are very traditional, right? We like the home. We're homemakers. As mothers, as women, we're still raised that we run the household. We're the primary, homemakers. And I think Italians have the same vein, same thread. And in New Jersey, that was threatened very heavily. COVID, locking down the schools, not being able to send our kids to school. My parents moved us from Ecuador in 1983 so that we can have a better life, so we can have an education. And in 2020, my children who were born here, first generation, can't go to school. Like, that's wrong. And I think a lot of moms like me came out strong and then started to peel back the onion, look under the hood, understand what's happening in schools, all this DEI, equity, diversity, gender fluidity. And that's when the Latino community came out in strong numbers. It's not going to happen in our home.
You didn't just get mad on the couch, though, right? You got activated.
Correct.
Tell us about that.
I was part of the 2020 congressional campaign, District 11. Rosemary Becky ran for Congress against Mikey Sherrill, and we worked really hard on getting the issues out. And Rosemary had a huge following. November, December, January, a bunch of us regrouped and then rebranded Jersey First. Jersey First has turned out to be one of the best advocacy organizations in New Jersey. True grassroots, true working class, true middle class, focused on issues for the people. And our mantra or our mission is to make New Jersey a better place to live, learn, work, and retire.
What is wrong with Mikey Sherrill for New Jersey?
Everything. Education. Never talks about the mistakes that Governor Murphy made when shutting down. And then we still are suffering from COVID learning loss. She never talks about that. She's not showing a program or a plan to remediate that. Taxes continues to drive our taxes up. There's no mention there of any budget cuts or any of that.
Well, and I'm sure you know all too well, highest property taxes in America in New Jersey.
Right. Where is her plan in that? And then again, but she's focusing on Pride Month. She's focusing on gender fluidity. She's focused on giving 5-year-olds the okay to decide to be a girl or a boy. How is that a priority?
So given what your family went through to come here legally, does it offend you that the Democrats constantly push to make all illegals effectively citizens?
100%, because they're using us as puppets. They really believe we're that ignorant. Like, that's offensive to me. And that's all the Democratic Party is placing us. Anyone of color is supposed to only clean or take care of babies, right? Or work behind a counter. That's not fair. That's not inclusive. That's not diversity. That's a bunch of hoo-ha.
Well, Marcella, listen, you are really inspiring, a successful businesswoman, a mom, a Marine, a legal immigrant, somebody who clearly has taken action and loves her state, loves her country. Just pleasure meeting you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. So nice to meet you.
Now, for generations, this area has been marked by the immigrant experience to America, by legions of legal migrants who came to the United States and built these towns, raising families. They created community, and they loved this new country of theirs, America. Then, many of these places endured really tough times because of awful mismanagement from so-called leaders. Tony had some observations on this theme.
See that church? Your great-grandfather helped build that almost 80 years ago. He was a stonemason, the old man. Came over from Avellino with $4 in his pocket. This neighborhood used to be beautiful. 100% Italian. The 1920s, most of them right off the boat. Most Italians couldn't even find a church that wanted them. So what did they do? Did they cry? Did they go to the government with their hand out? No. They took care of their own problems. They said, you don't want us in your church? Fine. We'll build our own, a better one. I mean, look at all these buildings around here. Most of them are falling down into the ground. But that church is still standing. You know why?
The bricks?
Because our people give a shit, that's why.
Of course, a lot of that ethnic experience around here now, it's increasingly not Italian, but now Hispanic. And both of these groups, for many, many decades, they were reliably Democratic constituencies, especially in New Jersey. But they now rally en masse to America First. They are repelled by the radicalism of the 2020s Democratic Party. And they are drawn, on the positive side, to the energy, dynamism, and muscularity of patriotic populism and its central tenets, especially reclaiming sovereignty for our country, dispersing economic and political power throughout the land, ending a concentration of benefits among a merely connected crony elite, and moving toward cultural sanity again, toward respect for things like tradition, decency, and family. This tectonic shift, it has been incredibly notable among Hispanic Americans nationwide. In fact, in 2024, Donald Trump won the Latino male vote, and it wasn't particularly close, carrying the bad hombres by plus 10%. Here in New Jersey, even MSNBC took notice of the big moves.
Joe Biden won here by 46 points. Tonight, it's 28 points. This is basically it in Hudson County, from 46 to 28. This is one of those giant core Democratic counties in New Jersey the Democratic Party relies on. That's a massive, massive shift. And again, that speaks to Trump's gains, it really would seem, with Hispanic voters.
As Kornacki points out, even in places that Trump did not actually win, like Hudson County, very near here, he massively cut into typical Democrat margins. These types of gains were seen in every barrio and every corner of America, from urban Miami-Dade County to the ranch lands of South Texas and to even deeply blue California. Now, I mentioned the legal immigrants who have long built New Jersey. Right here where I'm standing, in Paterson at the Great Falls, this planned town was envisioned by none other than Alexander Hamilton himself. A young officer for George Washington during the Revolution, he picnicked here one day with his commanding general, the father of our country. Though the colonial blue blood Washington and the brash immigrant Hamilton, they could not have been more different. They bonded intensely, and each drove the other to higher planes of greatness, forging this entire country as a new nation. Hamilton knew these falling waters could power the mills to build this town, and indeed, this new nation. And through force of will, he created America's first planned industrial city. But after centuries of manufacturing here, the mills and the factories, they're largely gone. Where did they go? Well, mostly to China. Why? Because a lot of so-called experts and corrupt politicians decided that playing flunky to the Chinese Communist Party and making a quick buck for themselves, that was more important than prioritizing American workers in places like Paterson, New Jersey. These citizens have endured the pain inflicted by the radicals in office. What are the metrics? Well, for starters, the highest property tax rates in all of the United States here in New Jersey. On average, more than 3 times higher than property tax averages across the country. But despite that windfall of tax revenues that crushes homeowners, the state is broke. The state debt is so crushing that Fitch rates New Jersey the 47th worst state out of the 50 United States for long-term debt liabilities. So, not surprisingly, what happens? Well, people flee. They flock to opportunity states like Florida and Tennessee. According to the moving company United Van Lines, Jersey leads the country in a very unfortunate category, the highest percentage of moves out of the state versus those coming in. So, given these challenges, these self-imposed burdens, what answers do the ruling class Democrats have? Well, here's some pretty revealing tape from Democratic nominee for governor, Mikey Sherrill.
I impeached the president the first time. Maybe we'll go for the trifecta.
I would push an LGBTQ education into our schools. Parents have a right to opt out of a lot of things, but this is not an area where they should be opting out.
We now are pushing back in the Democratic caucus to think about how we are going to block Republicans at every turn.
Where I just voted to pass the Inflation Reduction Act.
She clearly doesn't get it, or she just doesn't care. But it's not all bad news. For those who love this wonderful state and want Jersey to be great again, there are shoots of green, legitimate, reality-based reasons to be hopeful. This is an incredible state, too, and we must remember that reality. From the gorgeous beaches on the coast, to the hills of northwest New Jersey, to the vibrancy of the people of this state, New Jersey is quite simply America. Mike Crispy lives in New Jersey and is president of the Italian-American Civil Rights League. So, Mike, we are in Belleville in Essex County in North New Jersey. But where specifically are we? Tell us about this place.
Oh, we're at the Belmont Tavern. It is, in my opinion, the best Italian restaurant in all of New Jersey. It's been here for almost 70 years. And if you look inside this place, I mean, this is a throwback to a better era for this whole place. For Belleville, we're right next to Newark. I mean, this used to be a thriving hub for Italian Americans. Many Italian Americans built this area. And now if you go outside and look what happens, obviously left-wingers have dilapidated Essex County, New Jersey by and large. But the Belmont Tavern stands, and it keeps its authenticity and its greatness, and that's why I like coming here still. And they do have the best food. It hasn't changed in a long time.
To connect this to policy, do you think one of the effects of globalization is far too much power in a relatively few amount of corporate hands?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at New Jersey by and large, I mean, it's a place where a lot of big companies have come in. You know, they set up, they get these corporate tax breaks, but for the people, they get hit with 30, 40, 50% tax rates. So they come in here, and New Jersey has been hollowed out. You know, mom and pop businesses hardly exist anymore in the state. We used to thrive. Again, New Jersey is one of the oldest states in the union. It has so much history and pride and traditions. People came here wanting to be part of America, and that's all gone now. Now at the top, it's just corporatists and globalists who kind of feed you again. It's like this cookie cutter thing. There's no identity.
But let me ask you this. Politically, is New Jersey legitimately a swing state? Is it winnable for the right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. So back in 2016, Trump lost New Jersey by 16 points. And then in 2020, he lost New Jersey by 16 points. So coming into the 2024 election, it was very abundantly clear that they were going to try to, in New Jersey, funny enough, they were trying to kick him off the ballot. And my people, we formed this group basically to try to get Trump to stay on the ballot with like a mandate. And we noticed something. We would have events and we would get 200-300 people wherever we went. Nobody famous was speaking at it, no special people, but we would get 300 people in the name of helping Trump. So I said, something is happening here. We're getting so much response and we're getting so much enthusiasm. This is going to have to mean something, right? So we had the rally in Wildwood, which everyone knows had a massive crowd. I spoke at that rally.
I think we can say this is the biggest crowd in New Jersey political history.
And a man that made a hell of a speech today, I'll tell you, Mike Crispy. Where's Mike? Man, did he make a good speech. Thank you, Mike. I watched you from the plane flying overhead. I said, that guy's good.
And he flips all these counties. He does amazing in Passaic County, which he flips. He has massive margins in South Jersey. He flips suburban counties that go either way. And in the urban areas, Newark, Patterson, Hudson County, adjacent to New York City, he makes 15-point gains in the most urban areas, which to me says, hey, if you can do that and keep that momentum, you can flip the state.
And a big part of this movement is driven by an intense love of America that includes a love of our heritage, right? And the leftist nihilists are trying to eliminate our heritage.
They want to take America and they want to make it unrecognizable. They want to make it unrecognizable through symbols, through taking down statues of people and symbols that, you know, built the country. And then they want to replace us, you know, and people in the country with those who do not embody the spirit and the values that built the country. And then in 2, 3, 4 generations from now, we don't have any of it anymore. And things like this aren't remembered and it's gone.
Mikey Sherrill, why is she wrong for New Jersey?
Cheryl is from nowhere near here. She's from Virginia. she moved for the express purposes of running for Congress and then higher office. Every single time she had the opportunity to be a moderate, she's been a left-wing divisive figure. She's totally wrong for New Jersey. And the stark contrast couldn't be any more different with Jack Ciattarelli, who is Italian, who has been in New Jersey his whole life. His family has been in New Jersey for multiple generations. He embodies the hardworking spirit of, the people of this state. And he has been in lockstep with President Trump, particularly lately on the most important issue that we're facing in the state, our identity for the future. And that is allowing illegal immigrants to resettle and continue to make places like Belleville unrecognizable, or to help President Trump with deportations to save New Jersey, save our schools, and save our cities from crumbling from an importation of hundreds of thousands of foreigners dumped into our system.
Hey, Mike, you're a patriot. You're inspiring. Great to be with you.
Thank you, Steve.
This original American state, it represents the best of the United States and the full potential of this country. After all, think of what this state has given us. Geniuses like Thomas Edison, changing the world from his Menlo Park lab here. Long before that time, brave warriors who took up arms with Washington and crossed the frigid Delaware on Christmas evening to surprise and defeat the British and their mercenaries here in New Jersey. This town of Paterson, it built the Spirit of St. Louis plane that crossed the Atlantic in the first solo flight. Even in the world of sports, Vince Lombardi got his start coaching football here at St. Cecilia High School in Englewood. Now bringing it to the present day, right here and right now, New Jersey is an integral part of a massive movement, a true multi-ethnic working class coalition that captured the national popular vote in 2024, swept every swing state, and made New Jersey a lot closer than any Democrat could have believed before November.
Tom Del Beccaro grew up in New York, became the chairman of the Republican Party of California, and has returned east to live and work in New Jersey.
So, Tom, those of us in the political world outside of New Jersey are convinced that New Jersey is a swing state. Is it? Is that reality?
It's approaching it. The Democrat Party continues to leave people behind. They just want the basics to work, whether it's your roads, the garbage, whatever it is. They want the basics. They want to live a normal life, right? They want their kids to grow up like they did. And what you find in Jersey, whether you walk down the street here or other parts of it, you see a very down-to-earth, common-sense people who just want to live a good life that they earned and no one takes away from them.
My thesis is that there's a significant vibe shift in America since Trump won again, and that people feel free to say what they mean, to say what they believe. I'm not going to let the politically correct police boss me around. And in a place like New Jersey, by the way, with really plain-talking people, tough-talking people, that's probably particularly pronounced. But what do you think? Has there been a vibe shift?
Yeah, 100%. When big business combined with big media to impose sort of the wokeness, it started to rub people really the wrong way.
Trump being from just across the river from New Jersey, right? What is it about Trump's appeal to a place like New Jersey?
The Trump appeal of common sense, I'm not going to put up with government screwing you over, sells super well here. We're still a country where people want to succeed. And Trump speaks to them saying, that is your dream, and I'm going to help you get there.
Is Mikey Sherrill, the Democrat governor for nominee, is she a DC Democrat?
Yes, but she talks more about social justice than working families and actually helping them. You can't simultaneously be for working families and for increasing the cost of living, taxes, gasoline, all these things. And so, yes, she talks social justice, but social justice doesn't buy milk. And that's the issue.
Earlier, I cited some of the astounding county numbers. Now, consider the statewide numbers for New Jersey. Back in 2012, Barack Obama, he cruised to victory here over Romney by 18%. Then things got a bit closer, but Hillary still prevailed by a very comfortable 14%. Then in 2024, the tightest Dem win in over 3 decades as Trump closed the gap to only 6%. And it's not just a Trump story. Jack Ciattarelli only lost the last race for governor here by 3%. Looking in detail, Jack won 4 counties that Biden had won just the year earlier. In this go-around, can Ciattarelli find that sweet spot? Can he earn the win? Well, it certainly seems possible. Polling is very tight, and he's working super hard. He has an opponent who pretends to be moderate, but has to fight against her own actual record as a radical in Washington, D.C. For instance, even as America turns overwhelmingly against the madness of open borders and rejects Democrat extremism on immigration, Mikey Sherrill voted against the Laken Riley Act, H.R. 7511, legislation to protect American citizens like that wonderful young woman who was senselessly killed by a known criminal illegal alien. Nor could Mikey Sherrill be bothered to vote for H.R. 848, which prohibits foreigners from voting in U.S. elections. But radicals in New Jersey and elsewhere, well, they now face a very different electorate. One that is informed and motivated. One that looks very different from the Republican Country Club Party of decades past. The entire national map is therefore in question, as former swing states like Florida and Ohio, they now become solidly ruby red. Is New Jersey next? This is, after all, a state of aspirational strivers, country-loving hustlers who now wake up politically and culturally, and they simply demand more. They yearn for a country that is worthy of our incredible heritage. So let's reclaim our nation by reclaiming New Jersey.